I'd like to introduce our speaker today, Steve Stencil. Steve is the creator of Leap and has been actively developing the Leap application for over 10 years. Steve comes from a sales background in the home improvement industry, where he started in windows and roofing, where he was a sales rep for several years and realized that there was a lot of room for improvement in his sales process. So he taught himself how to code and learned how to build a system that was scalable and that he could use to help sell more efficiently. And things have certainly grown from there. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Steve. Steve, thank you for being here with us today.
Thanks, Liz. If you make me presenter, I'll take it from here.
Yeah, here we go.
All right. So first thing is, a 4-hour contractor. What is a 4-hour contractor? So a 4-hour contractor is a home improvement professional that integrates their software and tools into a seamless process in order to reduce the number of hours spent on a sale to no more than 4 hours. So, there's a lot of processes that go on, including, how long it takes to capture a lead and get that lead into, say, a CRM, how long it takes to dispatch that lead out to a field rep, how long that field rep or sales rep spends in the house with the homeowner, how long it takes that field rep or sales rep to get that paperwork back to the office in the event that they sell the deal. And then in the event that they sell the deal, how long it takes to then move that job through the production process. So the whole idea is to, try and streamline those processes into one big, central platform, and that's kind of where Leap comes into play. So that you can spend no more than 4 hours per sale. So software in the home improvement industry is nothing new. We've had several very useful tools at our disposal for some years now. I remember I did in-home sales for 7.5 years, I think starting in like 2008, 2009. Tools like CRMs, for example, Market Sharp, our sponsor on this webinar. Measurement providers like EagleView and Hover have sprouted up. They've been around for a couple of years. We have Supplier Info, tools like Beacon and ABC. Also tools, some manufacturers provide tools that can be considered like a supplier tool because some people buy direct from manufacturer. We also have in-home financing tools, which were a huge benefit. When I did in-home sales, our financing used to consist of getting a paper credit application filled out by the homeowner and turning that in manually to our finance manager at the office, waiting a day or two for it to get approved, and driving back out to the customer's house to get loan documents signed. Well, now they have software out there. Most lenders have their own app that you can get in-home financing, and all of these tools are designed to make our lives easier as contractors. Combining them all into one central platform that works for everyone, that's the big challenge. Once you do it, however, you can reap the rewards forever. So once you have all of these tools and you integrate them into one central platform, it's much more scalable. You can grow your business much faster. So what we're going to talk about today is the why. Why should you do this? Why should you spend time, money, and resources on changing the way you do it now? You might have some processes that you're using software to do, but you might have a bunch of other processes that are manual. Throughout these next couple slides, we want to talk about how each of the tools that we just mentioned can benefit your business, how it also benefits the sales reps and the people out in the field, and most importantly, how implementing a central platform can benefit the homeowner and their perception of your business. Because when you implement this type of process, it's going to benefit really everyone that's involved with your organization, all the way from the reps that work in the office, the reps that work in the field, as well as the end user, the homeowner, the end customer, the end goal is going to be affected by you integrating everything into one central platform. So first off is the customer relations management tool. If you're not using one, you should absolutely, or you're not using one to its fullest potential. I've met a lot of contractors who have a CRM, but they're using it, maybe 10% of its capabilities. So whether you're not using one or you're not using it to its fullest potential, you should absolutely start doing that. A CRM is kind of where everything begins. When leads come into your organization, they should be immediately going into your CRM. You can then schedule/track every interaction with the lead all the way through and even after you install the job for them. So your CRM, customer relationship management, it manages your relationship with your customer. You should absolutely be using it, in every point of contact that you have with your customer should be entered into your CRM. Reminders should be entered into your CRM, etc. So what are the benefits to the business? So as we go throughout these slides, I just want to talk about, like I said, the business, the sales rep or the field rep, and then your end customer. So what benefits using a CRM to its fullest potential, integrated into all of your processes? Would it have data aggregation is huge. Your CRM is usually your hub where all the data comes back to. You can usually run reports out of it. I remember when I did in-home sales, we used Market Sharp. Just so happens they're also the sponsor on this webinar. But we used to run reports so you're blue in the face, and we will want to know, how many leads came in, how many leads went out, how many leads didn't go out, closing percentages. We used to have a thing called a net slugging average. What was, every time we gave a sales rep a lead, how much would they bring back in net sales? You can keep track of all your estimates as well as your sales to better track rehash opportunities. So there's so many times where reps would go out and they would pitch miss a lead, but not just that, they would sell a lead, but sell half of it. For instance, maybe they had 20 windows in the house and we only sold 10. A CRM, you could have, that lead disposition as a sale with a reminder to follow up with that customer in 6 months to a year to get those other, 10 windows. Communications between field reps and office staff. I know you can create workflows, I think they're called, in Market Sharp, where you can assign different people to different tasks, and it really moves everything along so everybody knows, where the next step, who's supposed to take over in the next step of the installation process, of the lead setting process, or, of the sale, who's running the lead. And you can really just hand it off from one person to the next, and it keeps a very good communication between everyone in your organization. Organization, in a different term, is another one. It just keeps everybody organized. It's going to reduce your paperwork. I remember the company that I worked for before we implemented Leap and ran everything through one digital process. They had these file cabinets that had every job that they did in a folder with all the, in each folder with the contract and all the bills and everything that went along with all the measurement sheets, et cetera, that went along with that job. That company today is 100% paperless. I remember they hired a company to come in and go through those file cabinets and scan every one of those documents into a database somewhere. And now everything they do is 100% paperless, from the time that the lead comes in all the way to the time that they get a completion certificate signed from the homeowner. What effects will a CRM have on your sales reps or even field reps? So it's not, we call them sales reps here at Leap, just what we're used to calling them, but it's also field reps, which, maybe after the sale is done, you have reps that go out to the house, maybe to do a remeasure or to pick up a completion check or something along those sorts that might not necessarily be the sales rep. So this is really CRM to benefit anyone that works out in the field that might not be out in the office. So appointments pull through automatically. We integrate with Market Sharp as well as other CRMs, and you can pull that data in directly to Leap out in the field. What's nice about that is I don't have to log into a separate platform just to get my appointment, only to have to do double data entry into another software that I might need to use out in the field. So using a tool like Leap will allow you to connect directly to your CRM and pull those appointments in without any double data entry. You can also sync results that happen out in the field. So let's say a sales rep goes out and he sells the deal. You want all the information about the sale to push back into the CRM. Leap does that, sale info, the total dollar amount. Maybe you want a measure sheet of all the line items that the sales rep used to measure the job. All that information is going to be pushed back to the CRM automatically. Accuracy is another good one. So many times we're out in the field, sales reps write the customer's email address down wrong or their phone number down wrong when they're handwriting contracts. By having all the information just automatically sync through, you can, your accuracy is going to be much better. Also, you can use it in a sense where the rep is out in the field and maybe there was something incorrect in the CRM. The sales rep can update it inside of Leap and have information communicate back to the home office to let them know that. And then, like I mentioned a couple times already, the reduced data entry and efficiency that a rep is going to gain from that will allow him to run more appointments and spend less time in the house. I remember, again, when I was an in-home sales rep, time was money with the homeowner. I felt I had a finite amount of time with the homeowner where I would have their undivided attention, especially if both parties were present, Mr. and Mrs. Jones. If I didn't want to have to spend time, okay, well, give me a minute to go work up the price, or give me a minute to go redo that measurement, or go check on this thing, or call my manager to check inventory, etc. By having everything just communicate down from the CRM to the sales rep, it makes them more efficient in the house, so they're not typing data in more than once. They're not, resulting leads back to the home office that takes time, and I can use that time to then build rapport with the homeowner and close more deals. And then lastly is for CRM is how does the CRM benefit the homeowner, your end customer? Perception of the business. If you're much more organized and the sales rep is in the house and he looks much more professional, well, that is going to relay back to the homeowner. It's going to convey to the homeowner. You're going to look more professional and trustworthy for that matter. I used to use technology to my advantage with the homeowner. I used to go into the homeowner's house with either, with a collared shirt, a lot of times a tie, to, really separate myself from, the Joe Schmo guy coming in behind me. And if we were offering the same products, if we were offering, we have kind of the same installer, especially if you're subcontracting it out, it's going to be installed the same. The products, they can get the same products. Why would the customer buy from me as opposed to someone else, especially if my price is the same, let alone if my price is more? These types of changes and tweaks make me look much more professional, can help me win more deals. Communication to the homeowners is it's much easier, it's much better for the homeowner. Most CRMs have a way to communicate to the homeowner by way of email and sometimes text message, so that you can let them know the status of their project. Always compare to this when you're ordering a pizza. You can log into the app of, say, Papa John's or Domino's, and it shows you where in the process their pizza is. Communication to the homeowner is key, and CRM can help you, maintain that communication. And then reduce paperwork. It's rare these days that homeowners have file cabinets anymore. I remember when I started doing in-home sales around 2008, 2009, and we had these little folders, and we would put all the customers' brochures in the folder. We would put their carbon copy contracts in there, some before and after photos, a customer referral sheet where they go refer other customers. And, I would leave that with them. And then there were times where you call them, hey, Mr. Jones, we're coming out to do a site inspection. I just wanted to confirm that you're getting the brown siding or the brown roof or whatever it was. But the homeowner's at work and their paperwork's at home. It's just an inconvenience. Like, oh, well, I'm not sure. I'm not looking at the contract. I'll call you when I get back home. And, reduced paperwork it's so much more convenient for the homeowner to open up their smartphone and have all of their documents and everything they need right there, at their fingertips. Nobody's used to doing paperwork anymore. Everybody's used to having it digital. So a CRM can definitely help benefit with reduced paperwork by just having all your communications via email, all your contracts digital. It syncs back and forth. The customer gets theirs via email and then uploads it back to the CRM, for anybody at the office to use. So that's it for CRMs. Now I want to do the same thing, talk about, the customer, the business, the sales rep, and the customer as far as measurement integration. This was something that was fairly new when I started doing in-home sales. It took a little bit for us to adopt it. I think the first one that we used was EagleView. Measurement tools are no-brainer, really, especially if you do exterior remodeling. Measurement tools like EagleView and Hover. Also, Roof Scope is one that Leap directly integrates with, but they're popping up all over the place, and they can measure the job for you. It's a huge benefit to everyone involved, starting with your business. If you're using measurement tools, you're going to increase accuracy and increase profit. So, a lot of times we hear customers talk about these measurement tools, and they say that they're expensive and it's an unneeded cost because the rep can go out and measure it, and they've been measuring it for X number of years, and they're good at it, blah, blah, blah. But how do you scale that? What happens when you want to bring on more reps and, they're not in the industry? They don't have the experience to go out and measure it. Maybe you want to hire somebody in a different industry that didn't come from home improvements, but is really good at sales. How do you train them? Obviously, you can train them to measure roof, but they're human and people make mistakes. So, using these tools for measurements gives you a level of accuracy that just the accuracy alone will more than pay for the reports. It's going to reduce waste because that these things are measured by these third-party tools. You can have a level of confidence that when you order it with X number of waste, you don't have to count for the mistakes the sales reps had made. Safety. I remember when I did in-home sales, I never wanted to get up on top of the roof because, it would slip and fall, the liability, not just with me as a sales rep, but if you're a business owner, you don't want your sales reps to have to get up on top of the roof if they don't have to. You want to minimize that of people getting on top of the customer's roof. Falling through the roofs or falling off the roof is a concern. I know of companies where this has happened. The other thing is a training benefit. I just touched briefly on this just a second ago, but training sales reps how to go out and measure a roof. I remember the company, and I keep referring to them, but the company that I work for today doesn't even train their sales reps how to measure a job, how to measure a roof, because they just use it's either EagleView or Hub or one of the two that they use, and the rep goes out there, orders that thing, it comes back in however many minutes. I know EagleView, you can do a quick squares, comes back in 15 minutes, and the rep goes through their whole entire sales process knowing that the pricing that they're going to be is accurate. I was actually just talking to one of the reps that works at the company I used to work for, and they have a thing they call them below minimums. Anytime a job is sold below a certain profit margin that they're expecting. They went from, I can't remember the exact numbers, but let's say somewhere around 9-10% of deals that they sold were below minimums to less than 1% of deals are below minimums ever since they implemented the measurement tools to every single sales rep. And it is kind of mandatory that you don't price the job unless you use the measurement tool. How do measurement tools benefit the sales reps? It's going to save me time in the home. So I'm speaking as if I'm a sales rep. It's going to shorten my learning curve. If I'm coming into the roofing industry for the first time, let's say I'm coming to it from selling mortgages. I'm really good at selling mortgages. I want to give home improvements a shot. I got to learn all the ins and outs of measuring roofing and siding, etc. This is going to shorten my learning curve because I can literally just learn the products and go out there and not worry about measuring the job. It's an easier, more professional sale. Again, when I was sitting across the table from Mr. and Mrs. Jones, I would use these types of tools as things that separate me from the competition. Again, I go back to, yes, this is a cost that you're going to incur from implementing measurement tools, but the cost far outweighs the benefit that you're going to get from increased sales, increased dollars per ticket, increased referrals because the perception to the homeowner is much easier, less recruiting costs, less training costs because, as a sales rep, my life is going to be easier, both measuring the job and selling the job. Measurement software benefiting homeowners. It gives the homeowners a sense of trust. I can't tell you how many times I sat across from the kitchen table and used an EagleView report to close the deal, to help me close the deal, and differentiate myself from the guy that came in before me, or even is going to come in after me. And I would say, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, I understand that he came in and he's $1,000 less than me, and you feel that it is the same product, but I have a feeling, maybe he mismeasured the job or whatever, and I would just show them my EagleView report with the pictures of their house on it, show them how EagleView came up with the exact square footage. I would point to my software, and in this case it was the Leap app, and show them how it computed the price using that report, and then I am just presenting the price to the homeowner. So, it added a lot more credibility to me as a sales rep and the company that I was representing. And I always compared this to like going to a grocery store. When you put your groceries up on the conveyor belt and the cashier rings them all up and then she gives you the total at the end, you don't really question that the computer added everything up correctly. You're like, yeah, I agree that, as long as you scanned everything correctly, everything added up correctly. So I used to use the same type of psychology with my app. I'm like, look, it's just like the grocery store. I'm just scanning these things in. The EagleView report gives me the measurements, and then this thing is going to spit out a number. And I became more of a consultative sale as opposed to like a me versus them or like a sales rep in the home improvement industry or just sales in general. It's kind of a stigma of like sales reps, and using measurement tools and the reports that come along with them was not just about making my life more efficient. It was also about making the homeowner feel a lot more at ease with, buying from me and not buying from my competition. So then the next thing we'll talk about is the Supplier Info. Supplier Info encompasses tools usually supplied by distributors as well as manufacturers. They can help you do anything from price the job, visualize what the installed product will look like, and check inventory, as well as order the materials for the project. So I'm covering a lot of things in the Supplier Info one. I can give you an example of when I used to do in-home sales. One of my favorite supplier tools was from a manufacturer called Provia, which manufactured doors and windows. and they came out with their own visualizer tool that allows me to build the doors and windows in the house with the homeowner. And I used to give my iPad to the homeowner and allow them to touch on the iPad, to choose their glass and choose their grid patterns and the colors and the locks and the handles, etc. And then it would update and show them exactly what their door or window was going to look like. The challenge, though, was, that tool was great, but that's really where it ended. I needed to then, let's say the customer decided to purchase it, I then needed to get that information onto a contract the customer can sign and can interpret what they're buying from the contract. So there's a lot of details that went along to ordering a custom door or a custom window. How do I accurately get all those details onto a document where, when I turn that thing in and it goes through the whole production process, that we can get it ordered. So, integrating with these types of things, like I know ABC and Beacon have their own ordering tools now. Manufacturers have their own visualizer tools. I've seen some bath companies that have their own visualizer tools. So there's a ton out there. If you're unaware, you can definitely reach out to us. We'll tell you what we know. Otherwise, you can reach out to your vendors and see if they have any tools that you can use to help streamline your processes. So how do these tools help the business? So let's go through the three again: the business, the sales rep, and the homeowner. So it helps the business by faster implementation time, time to value. What I mean by that is when you're implementing software, if you're able to pull in data from manufacturers, such as their brochures, the warranty information, the product offerings, the colors, and you're able to pull that into other tools that you're using out in the field, such as Leap, it can definitely shorten your time to implementation. So, there are also ways that you can do it manually, but when you have manufacturers that offer that, it's much better for the business. You're going to decrease errors by doing it that way. You can have accurate pricing. So, just imagine if you're pulling stuff directly from your supplier, you can have pricing that's real time when you're going and putting orders in. Less change orders. This is very common where your sales reps out in the field, they're selling a shingle style or color or a siding style or color that has been discontinued, but you just got the memo, I don't know, a week ago or something. That rep was on vacation, just communicating that information to them. If you're using software that talks to one another, your reps are out in the field that can update in real time, such as Leap, you can have all that information just communicate right to them. And I can literally get an email right now saying that a color is discontinued. I can go into my Leap platform and update my settings to say that this color is no longer available, just remove it from the platform, and I could have a rep in the home right now getting ready to sell a deal that would get that update, eliminate the need for a change order, or worst case scenario, losing the deal altogether. Easier training processes because everything will be in one place. Easy to update products in a central location and push out to the field. This is one that's huge. I was literally just talking to a fairly large company in Florida, I think it was last week, where they implemented Leap to house all of their price guide information, but they wanted that to communicate back to their CRM so that as the sales reps are out in the field, pricing up jobs, selling them, pitch missing them, etc., all of that stuff they wanted communicating back into the CRM. So then they could run reports, going back to that data aggregation. They could run reports in the CRM and see, how many of this widget was sold, how many of this widget was not sold, how many times did they offer financing, how many times did they didn't, etc. So, by having everything pushed back in one central location and communicate, so Leap would be the central location in this case where a price guide would exist. And let's say that originated from a supplier, then you could have Leap push that information back into the CRM, and it's just kind of a continuous circle where everything talks together. And then immediate access. Another huge benefit of that is, anybody from the organization can log in to, let's say, Leap and see what a price of something is. Going back again, when I did in-home sales, I remember we had sales reps that had price books. Prices would go up. Sales reps would get updated price books, but they didn't update all their sheets, or one rep was out sick or on vacation, and then production didn't get the latest version because sales rolled it out on a Monday, but production's out there rolling it out on a Friday. So then commissions get messed up and blah 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 blah. It's just a pain in the neck because nobody's on the same page of what is the price of this widget. So by housing it all in one location, so let's say like Leap, everybody could just log in and see where the price is. Okay, manufacturer software benefits the sales rep. It can add a level of sophistication and perception of their expertise. I compare this to our resources section. This was a place in Leap that we housed all of our brochures from all of the manufacturers for all of the different products that we sold, and it was updated in real time from a manager back at the home office. Anytime something changed, a catalog will come out once a year. As soon as that catalog came out, we would delete the old one, update the new one. All of the reps out in the field, no matter if we had one sales rep or 100 sales reps, they would have all the latest information. It didn't matter if they're on vacation or not. Everybody's working off of the same set of information. And when I was sitting in front of the homeowner, I had all of the information at my fingertips. So if they had a question about a warranty or about, does a product come in this color or whatever it is, I had all of the manufacturer's information at my fingertips. I knew exactly what was in stock and changes to product availability because my price guide was updated in real time. My brochures were updated in real time, and my documents and the options on my documents were updated in real time. Fewer PBACs due to product availability. All manufactured materials available digitally, and there's less stuff to carry. I laughed, I actually still have my briefcase. It was 1 foot wide. It was a little Swiss bag, little Swiss bag. It was 1 foot wide, and I had brochures in the one section. I was divided into 3 sections, about 3 inches thick of brochures for all the different products that I sold. I had 3 1-inch 3-ring binders in the middle that had all of my paperwork that I needed to fill out, all of my measure sheets, all of my contracts, change orders, credit applications. I had my pitch book in there. And I forget what my third one was. It was a brag book, a pitch book that went along with every lead, so that I could, basically brag about the company and the products and why the customer should buy from me. So now when I do everything digital, I used to just carry around my iPad and my sales kit. My sales kit had all of my example materials in there, like all my little window cross cuts, my siding colors and color swatches, etc. And then I had my iPad that had everything else that I needed. And then how does manufacturer software benefit the homeowner? It's going to improve their customer experience, moves project to production faster. It was one of the things that, it's hard to do an in-home sale because it is unlike most things that homeowners buy. Most times homeowners buy something and they get an instant gratification. They can drive their car home that night. They can take the product home with them. They can open it up, sometimes even in the store. Home improvement projects they buy is one of the most expensive purchases that they make in their entire life, and they don't see anything happen for sometimes weeks. So, by having this stuff streamlined and using these types of softwares, the homeowner can experience a much faster install, and you can use that to your advantage against your competition. You can utilize manufacturers' brochures by giving them to the homeowner, and they can feel good and having big name brands on their projects. Manufacturers do a lot, especially the big name manufacturers, do a lot of advertising direct to consumer to make it easier for the contractor to sell to them. So when you're out there and you have the same brochures and logos, and they have all the preferred contractor programs and all that stuff that most of these contractors are putting on their websites, well, you should also use those as part of your sales process. And, having everything integrated into one could definitely help you with that. And then lastly, we'll talk about financing. If you're not selling financing, you're costing yourself a lot of money. I remember back when I was in sales training, there was a trainer that asked for a show of hands on anyone in the room who could write a check right now out of their bank account for $10,000. In the room, there's probably about 20 or 30 people. 1 or 2 hands were raised. And then the same person asked for a show of hands on anyone in the room that could afford a monthly payment of $200. And virtually everyone in the room raised their hand that they could, afford $200 a month. The point being made was by offering financing, you open your potential customer pool up dramatically. Offering financing to your customers has never been easier with all the tools that are available today. So I remember, again, going back when I did in-home sales, the lenders would, require us to fill out a paper credit app, turn it into the finance manager. I don't know what they would do with it, call it in sometimes, go on their website sometimes, and then, we would get an email the next morning on if it got approved or not. Then we would have to schedule another appointment with the homeowner to get the loan document signed. The lenders started to come out with their own lender apps that I could get it approved in the house, and it made me so much more efficient as a sales rep, because not only did I not have to go back out to their house the next day for loan documents, but I knew if it was approved or not in the home. So then I could pivot it in the event that it was declined on, selling it for cash. So how does financing software benefit the business? It's going to increase your revenue. It's going to increase your security. You don't have to, a lot of times, credit cards and all that stuff, like you would decrease the amount of time you use credit cards because, you're capturing all the information in the house, a completely different payment method. Also, using financial software, you're not filling out paper credit applications that have customers' personal identifiable information on it, that who knows how long it's going to take to get back to the home office, and then where it goes from there. And then, of course, we're going to cut down the paperwork to the back office. No more paper credit apps, everything's submitted automatically from the field, and you eliminate the step of a finance manager having to do all the different, application submissions for all the different sales reps. I remember it would bottleneck, and it would be 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, sometimes the next day, and I still haven't gotten an approval or a decline for the customer that I sold the night before. Increased closing percentages. You will absolutely increase your closing percentages. If you think of in every industry, pretty much every industry offers financing, home improvements included, but for whatever reason, home improvements aren't offered or aren't financed as much as other things with the same ticket. For an example, buying cars. If you just think about the number or the percentage of cars that are financed, you would probably say 80 to 90% of all cars sold are financed. Very few are paid with cash or a credit card. Yet things with similar ticket sizes, in the tens of thousands of dollars, home improvement industry, it's probably the opposite. Maybe 10 to 20% of the deals are financed. So, there's no reason why home improvement projects shouldn't be financed as much as cars. And I really believe the reason is because it's just not offered. A lot of contractors are scared of it. But once offered, most of our largest contractors that use Leap that have, 50 plus sales reps, sometimes 100 plus sales reps, all of them push financing heavily. So how is financing going to benefit sales reps? It's going to help us overcome objections with payment options. Again, I know I use this over and over. I said it 15, 20 times in this webinar already. But when I was doing in-home sales, I always offered financing. Going back to that quote I said in the beginning of the financing slide with how many people can write a check for $10,000 compared to how many people can afford a monthly payment for $200. I knew my pool of people that could afford a monthly payment of $200 is very high. And if I offered financing on every single deal that I ran, it was so much easier to close a monthly payment of $200 a month, as opposed to getting the homeowner to agree to write me a check for X dollars, $10,000, $3,000, doesn't matter how much it is. Giving somebody, a stranger that came to their house, pitched them a deal, pitched them a roof, or pitched them a siding, is much harder for the homeowner to swallow than signing up for a no money down, no interest, no payments for 12 months. That I couldn't offer unless I was doing financing. It's going to increase revenue for me as a sales rep, which in turn will increase my commissions, increase my closing percentage, and I get an instant gratification. I know right away if I'm getting financing approved in the house, I knew walking out of that house if that deal was going to net or not. And, I felt good about, that deal not canceling, that thing going all the way through, because I was able to we call it button it up. I was able to button up that deal from the beginning and end. I didn't have to leave it hanging to say, okay, well, we're going to see if we can get financing approved and I'll let you know tomorrow. I was able to let them know right then and there. How does financing benefit the homeowner? It's going to reduce time for decision, gives them instant gratification. So there were times where I had homeowners that, they didn't want to fill out the paper credit application because they were unsure if they were going to get approved. I said, Mr. Jones, here you go. You can just fill out this thing right here and we'll know right now if we're going to get approved. It takes all of, 2 minutes and we could tell you if you're going to get approved or not. The convenience of the homeowner, just bringing the financing to them. Some people, they want to offer financing. They tell the homeowner to go to their lender and go to their credit union, and then they'll let us know when you get that approved. But then you lose the control of the entire sale. So it's just so much more convenient to bring the financing to the homeowner. It gives the homeowner much more options to make the purchase. Maybe they don't want to use their credit card, or maybe they don't, they're waiting for money to, to go in their bank account, or maybe they're waiting to pay something off. You could use financing as a way to overcome those objections. And it also gives them a sense of security. Actually, Leap has ways now that you can send the customer an email directly from our software, and the customer can fill out the credit application on their own device without ever giving their personal information to the sales rep. The homeowner can then hit submit, and the sales rep will get a notification in their app that they can then use that secured app, which the sales rep will never see their information to submit to the different lenders that we're directly integrated with. So in conclusion, when I did in home sales, we faced the challenge of integrating all of the tools that we faced the challenge of integrating all the tools that could help us be more efficient. So we started adopting these different types of technologies, and we found ourselves constantly doing double data entry within the different systems that we were using. We're typing the customer's name and address and phone number, et cetera, and all the different platforms. We needed a way to efficiently communicate information back and forth with the office, as well as with our reps in the field. We needed everybody in constant communication. We needed to integrate everything into a central platform that was scalable. This really is how Leap was born. So in the beginning of this webinar, Liz had said, I created Leap. It started out actually as a hobby, doing computer programming. And after I learned how to do computer programming and make apps, I was like, okay, I'm going to make an app that ties all of these things in together. The benefits to an organization that implements this software, I've seen it firsthand. Into a central platform that aligns all of their other tools, it was enormous. I've seen the company, as well as other companies that I work for, close to 1,000 companies that have adopted Leap, go from, doing everything the old-fashioned way, for lack of a better term, to bringing everything into, this digital age. And especially in today's day and age, there's no better time to take the leap, especially since COVID. So many things like our adoption and usage in our platform 4x in the last 12 months because of COVID. It allows contractors who are using this integrated process to start selling virtually and take a process and which was once old-fashioned, and you're doing a lot of manual things and just taking you a lot longer than 4 hours to get the thing from the beginning to end. And now they're using Leap along with all the other tools, or a combination of the tools that we have mentioned throughout this webinar, and it had became less than a 4-hour contractor. So really, I guess with that, Liz, I'll turn it over to you, and I'll leave everybody with a question of, are you ready to become a 4-hour contractor?
Okay, so anybody who has any questions, please go ahead and submit them in the question box on your GoToWebinar menu right now. And before we announce the winner of the Apple AirPods, I wanted to tell you about a special offer we have running for the month of March. New customers that sign up for Leap Premium before March 31st will receive their choice of either 1 month of free premium Leap services or 3 brand new Apple iPads. So please drop us a note in the chat section now if you'd like to get in on this great offer. And the winner is, drum roll please, Greg Moreau. Congratulations, Greg. Keep an eye out for an email from me shortly at the end of the webinar. And with that, we'll go ahead and take some questions. So let's see, the first one we got here. How do you address the homeowner who is skeptical of the contractor who doesn't get on the roof to inspect and measure? Steve?
So I used to get that all the time. I used to show up to the customer's house with dress clothes on, dress shoes, and a tie, and they're like, well, where's your ladder? How are you going to get on top of my roof? And it was simple. I was like, it's getting up on top of the roof. It's kind of the old-fashioned way of doing it. There's room for error getting up there, and I can be way more accurate using technology. So I used to tell the homeowners we use satellite imagery to measure your roof. And here is, I'll explain to them, I'll show them the Eagle View report. Actually had an example of an Eagle View report in my resources screen on my iPad. And, in the event that, I couldn't get in the home and I didn't have the report already ordered, I could show them, hey, look, this is what I'm going to order in your house. This is how I'm going to measure your roof. It's going to be super accurate, and it's going to show you all the way down to the square inch how I came up with the number that I came up with, or they came up with. And then I take those numbers that they give me and apply them to a price book that's already preloaded in my thing, and I'm going to give you a price that is super consistent with every other homeowner that I've given. And actually, I just want to tell a story about this. We have one of our Leap customers, this was about 1.5 years ago, that was secret shopped by a local news organization. And what they were doing was shopping basement waterproofing contractors for people like in the inner city, and a house that was like out in, the county. And it was basically the same house, same scope of work, but they were, getting prices from the same contractors based on their different locations. And there was one contractor where the price was the same. I forget how many they shopped, but there's one contractor that gave the same price on both houses, and that contractor happened to be a LEAP customer. Because their pricing was just super consistent, and they were just typing it in LEAP, and the numbers came in. So they answered the correct question directly. It's just, I just explained to the homeowner, there's no need to be skeptical. I don't need to get up on your roof to get an accurate measurement. I'm going to use technology to do that and make it much more efficient and safer and accurate in the process.
Very good. Thanks, Steve. Next question. How do you integrate all the different platforms? Great question.
Yeah, so it's a great question. So LEAP was the tool when we started doing them. We started out with a CRM. Actually, the company I worked for used MarketSharp. They still to this day use MarketSharp. And that's where kind of like everything started. We're like, okay, well, we got this whole thing digital, and this digitized a lot of our processes, but everything out in the field, we need a solution for it. So then, we had the lenders that, they came out with their platform. We really just started adopting each platform, and then that's where we're like, okay, well, we don't have a tool to connect them all. They don't talk to each other. And that's when we rolled out LEAP. And one of the things with LEAP is, it is a process. All these tools that we mentioned, you technically really don't need them in order to sell home improvement. You don't need measurement tools to do home improvement. You don't need a lender's app. You don't need offer financing to sell home improvements. You really don't need a CRM to sell home improvements. However, you do need a sales process. You do need fields out in the rep working up prices. You need fields out in the rep that's presenting prices to the homeowner, that's writing up contracts and moving, those deals through. So if you're going to, start with, this whole vertical process where you're integrating everybody into one, LEAP is a tool that will digitize stuff that you were already doing. And then it's just a matter of plugging everything else into it. That is kind of the hub, because you have no business unless you have sales. And you're not generating sales unless you have reps out in the field. And, so that's where LEAP is kind of the hub, because everything originates with a sale. A CRM is right there in line with LEAP, I think. If 1 and 2, you can get the CRM first, LEAP second, LEAP first, CRM second. If you already use one or the other, then obviously get the other. And then that's really where you start, is CRM and the in-home sales tool. And then you start plugging everything in after that. The lenders, we start turning on the lenders inside of LEAP, start turning on the measurement integrations. They'll plug into LEAP and in turn plug into your CRM. Any type of supplier tools, we have a direct integration with Provia doors. We have a direct integration with Softlight Windows, Owens Corning. We have a direct integration with. So if that didn't answer the question, then definitely reach out to us, and we've done it close to 1,000 times with contractors all across the United States and Canada, selling all different widgets. So we'll show you how to create the process.
Cool. And right into the next question here, Steve mentioned an automation that would automatically send a credit application via email. Is that a LEAP or MarketSharp feature? We use both. How do you set that up?
Yep, so that is a LEAP feature. We actually just rolled it out, I think it was the end of last year, mainly because of COVID. So when COVID hit, we had a way to digitize almost everything except getting a credit application from the homeowner. So we fast-tracked that. If you're already a LEAP user, I would definitely, you can just leave your information, I guess, in your question, and we can have one of your account reps reach out to you to show you how to set it up. If you're already using LEAP, it's already part of it. It's just a matter of turning it on in your financing settings, I believe it is.
Okay, cool. Alrighty, next question. If a CRM is used to its full function, what will LEAP do to make a difference?
Yeah, so usually your CRM leaves off at the time that the lead sets. So the lead will come in, you're marketing to them, you're sending them marketing emails, blah, blah, blah. The customer finally engages and says, okay, I'm interested in an estimate on let's just use roofing for an example. So then usually the CRM leaves off there. So now the rep has to go out into the field, customer's house, measure the job. Usually that's not done in the CRM. You're not pulling an Eagle View and all that stuff in the CRM and calculating a price. I need to present the price to the homeowner sitting at the kitchen table. I'm usually not doing that out of my CRM. I need to, I need to calculate financing options and how much monthly payments are going to be for the homeowner. I'm usually not doing that out of a CRM. writing up my documents. There are some CRMs that allow you to send the customer forms, but if you're a Leap user, you will know the difference. If you're not, I would encourage you to let us give you a demo to show you the difference. Being able to generate your documents in Leap, sitting at the kitchen table with the homeowner, or even doing it remotely. We have ways now to do the entire sales process completely virtual with the homeowner, and we actually have companies who have set up complete virtual departments with sales reps that all they do is run virtual leads, and they're pitching and doing everything out of the Leap platform. So usually the CRM leaves off at the point when you actually have to work with the homeowner to get the job all the way from, estimate to sale, completion certificate, et cetera.
Thanks, Steve. We have a great supplier manufacturer question next. How do window and door companies use tech to have prices ready when there's hundreds of variables that change the price, exact sizes, hardware, color, etc.?
Yep. So most of the time, at least from my experience with window contractors that use Leap, is in order to sell the window, you don't have to be very specific about all the ins and outs. Like, in order to price up a window to sell a retail price or whatever you want to call it to a homeowner, a sales rep is not in the ordering system, putting the exact frame depths and window sizes down to 1/8 of an inch, etc. Usually you have a base price of the window on different sizes. When I sold them, it was on united inches, and you would figure out the united inches on the window, and then you had pricing, with different tiers. This is the way all the big window contractors do it, the guys that are selling very high volumes. So they come up with some buckets, and again, we can show you how to do this. We have some templates that you can use. You come up with the different buckets for all the different styles. So you have double hung, 2-part slider, 3-part slider, etc. Within those buckets, you have, let's say subcategories, which would be like united inch brackets, up to 80 united inches, 81 to 85 united inches, etc. And then you have base prices, and that's if it was just a white window with clear glass. And then you have modifiers that go on it. And Leap supports this, but you could add, hey, I want colonial grids, or I want beige exterior, or I want tempered glass or obscured glass. And you just flip the little modifiers on that increase the price of the window for the sales rep. But you do it in a way, like most of the time when you sell these windows, you have, 80, 90% of the time you sell the same combination of things, the same glass package, the same color of window. If you sell grids, it's the same colonial contoured grids or whatever grids you sell. And, there's maybe only a dozen or so upcharges that you sell on a window. Now, obviously the manufacturer can offer way more than that, but that is you sell them once or twice a year. So, you really just simplify the selling part of it. You make it enough, the price guide enough so that it's easy to train, it's easy to manage and scale, and it's easy to price up when you're a sales rep out in the field, a job for a homeowner. However, it is not as detailed as ordering the window. Usually you have a remeasured tech that goes out after the job is sold, remeasures the windows, and then they put all that information, what the sales rep entered, all the information that they gathered, what's written on the contract, and put that in an ordering system from the manufacturer to get the exact cost of that window, which hopefully should be a lot lower than what the sales rep sold it for. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, we're getting some great questions here, guys. The next one's a great segue right into from what you were talking about. How difficult and how long would it take to set this up? There's talking about integration with Leap.
Right. So I can speak from a sense of, setting Leap up. So I don't know how many of these other tools that you're using, like if you're going from zero to, set everything up, right? I mean, who knows how long that's going to take. Rome wasn't built in a day, so you're not going to set them all up overnight. Again, one to start with would be Leap, and we have an entire process with templates, and we have it narrowed down. Like, we'd like to have you set up within 60 days. So we'd like to take you from you have absolutely nothing, you're all completely analog as far as your sales process goes, to you're out in the field using Leap and you're 100% paperless. All your documents are coming in electronically to the home office automatically. All the communication steps, in Leap are all set up to your field reps, and we can walk you through an entire onboarding process that should take you no more than 60 days. We've had people set it up sooner. We've had people take longer, but that is usually kind of the sweet spot of 60 days.
Alrighty, and we will take one last question here. Who is your competition and what sets you apart from them? Good question.
Yeah, so I think our biggest competition is just change. So the name LEAP came from, getting contractors to make a big change. The home improvement industry is one of the, only industries that's left untapped when it comes to technology. So if you think of every other industry, you go to the grocery store. I remember, my wife, I went to Walmart with her the other day, and she has an app. They don't even use a credit card anymore. She just scans the Walmart app, and it pays for it. Your Amazon became the largest retailer, not because they're the cheapest. They became the largest retailer because they're the most convenient. People can order stuff from the phone, and it's at their doorstep, a lot of times the next day. So, getting contractors to actually take the leap to make the change is probably our toughest competition, because they're a lot of times, they're at a breaking point when it comes to scaling. Like they're just up to their eyeballs in work and working in the business and getting things moved and selling deals and paying the bills for this month, etc. That working on the business in implementing these types of technologies that in the long run is going to make their lives easier, they just don't have the time to do it. So then we come along, LEAP comes in and it's like, hey man, all this stuff looks great, but I just don't have the time to set it up. Or they even go as far as buying it and paying the monthly subscription for it, and then it's like, I just don't have the time to set it up. So I would say that is our biggest competition. I know that's a political answer. There are tools out there that do different slices of what LEAP does, but then that goes back to the entire point of this webinar is integrating them all into one platform. You can find tools that help you send contracts and get contracts signed. You can find tools that can house all of your brochures and resources and pitch books, etc. But till now there really hasn't been one tool like LEAP that integrates everything into one platform that covers your entire sales process, as well as integrate all the other things that LEAP doesn't do into that sales process.
Very cool. All right. Well, thank you, Steve. And thank you all so much for joining us today. If you would like more information about LEAP and Market Sharp, let us know on the poll you see on your screen now, especially if you would like to get in on LEAP's March promotion of getting 1 month of free premium or 3 brand new iPads. We will get in touch with you right away. Keep an eye out for an email from us tomorrow morning containing today's webinar recording for you to go back and reference as needed or pass along to your colleagues. Have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday, everyone, and we'll see you next time.